It is game week for the Concord University women's soccer team. Two foes that Concord is very familiar with come to Callahan Stadium. It's the Kutztown Bears and the Gannon Golden Knights. Head coach Luke Duffy, kind enough to join us to preview both matchups. Coach, you've had two scrimmages thus far against really stiff competition in Lise McCrae and Carson Newman. What did you learn about your team through those two scrimmages?
Yeah, I mean, two very well coached teams, two coaches that I've got a lot of respect for. You know, they're always going to be organised, well disciplined, hard to break down, you know, test us in our defensive third as well. You know, so we got a lot out of it. I think, you know, two good results, two fair results. You know, I think pre-season for me is always tough. A lot of fitness, a lot of running, a lot of get to know each other. So I think two positive performances that, you know, have put us in a good place for where we want to be going into, you know, this week's competition.
Yeah, two opponents that, like I said, you're familiar with. You've played Kutztown. This will be the fourth time over the last three seasons. Gannon, likewise, four times in the last 4 years now against the Golden Knights. Let's start with Kutztown. It's your first opponent, a team that you guys, you know, kind of got blitzed by last year, but you've had some really good games with them over time. What does Kutztown do that concerns you?
I mean, they're obviously a powerhouse in the region. I think, you know, we've earned the right to play Kutztown and Gannon in the opening week as much as, you know, they want to play us as well. You know, it's always going to be a competitive game. I think they've got great players. They're, you know, well coached again. You know, they're good all over the field, but we want to test ourselves against the best, you know, and predominantly those two teams are two of the best teams in the region. So, you know, having two good performances can really set up the season nicely. And obviously we're going to go into the game with respect for those opponents, but we're going to control what we can control, and that's focusing on how we want to play.
Some unknowns for you. A lot of production loss from last year. All-American Sydney Tucker, 16 goals. Leah Fleming, Olivia Bekaleski kind of anchoring, you know, your midfield and your back line there. When you look at this year's squad, you've got some sophomores that are battle-tested, most notably Tiana Campbell, Marika Svensson, Ella Rao. All three of those girls started either 18 or 19 games last year for you. Caitlin Webster is a proven scorer. How important are those players?
Yeah, I mean, they just having a year under those for, you know, those rising sophomores, I think is a great thing. You know, they know what to expect. They come in better prepared than they did as freshmen. I think the upperclassmen that we've got returning, you know, they're hungry, you know, to make their mark. I think all in all, it's a great team personality. We've got great chemistry. They're hungry for success. They work tremendously hard. They, you know, never give in, and we've pushed them to their limits this pre-season. So, you know, I mean, I think it's up to them just to kind of come in, stay relaxed, focus on, you know, how they can perform, and hopefully we can put up a good performance as a team and take care of business.
What have you seen from your freshmen? Because roughly, you know, about half your starting lineup, 4, 5, 6. As many as 6 freshmen could start for you, maybe not this weekend, but down the road. So what have you liked from your freshmen?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we expected some to come in, hit the ground running. They certainly did. There were a couple of surprises along the way where we knew they were talented players, but they've really come in and, you know, found their feet as well. So, you know, a lot of headaches for me, you know, to find the best starting 11, but I'd rather have those kind of headaches. I think we've got depth in the right areas. You know, they're still learning. I don't want to put too much pressure on them, but, you know, at the same time, they want the kind of pressure to play for this program and obviously try and replicate, you know, some of the success that we've had in the past. So, you know, yeah, I think excited to see them finally play, you know, in a competitive match. Obviously, they had a lot of positives in pre-season and the pre-season games, but it's a different world when we open up, you know, with the teams that we open up with. So, yeah, excited to see how they do. How
exciting is it, you know, you talk about your team earning the right to play Gannon and Kutztown and all the success those programs have had over the last decade plus, but how exciting is it for your team to get to open up at home? You're not opening up at home in Beckley. You're actually opening up at home here at Callahan Stadium, first game of the year to open up at home.
I mean, it finally feels natural to be here. Even last year, it was just pinch yourself. I'm actually on campus playing a game. I didn't think it was real. It's a different feeling, you know. It's an expectation that we're finally at home. We have a home field advantage. I think, you know, you can see there's bigger crowds that are coming to games now. You know, more people are aware that soccer's back on campus. we've earned the right to be on campus, and we want to be on campus. I think, from an admin standpoint, logistically, it makes your life and everyone else's life a lot easier. But also, there's something to be said about being at home, and being able to pull on the jersey, walk out of the locker room onto the field and feeling that home field pride. So that's something that I found value in. We want those old school characteristics, and to be able to have those by playing at home and opening up with those two great teams, I think is a credit to where the program is at.
Concord, not 2 straight home games to open the season, but 4 straight home games this weekend, and then 2 straight MEC games to begin the year here at home. For the head coach, Luke Duffy, I'm Wes McKinney. We thank you for watching.